The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 is a relic of a bygone era. Enacted amidst fears of war with France, the act granted the US president broad powers. These powers extended to the detention and deportation of foreign nationals. The act specifically targeted individuals deemed enemies during times of war. Its language, however, was broad and sweeping, leaving it open to interpretation and potential abuse.
The Act's historical context is crucial to understanding its intended purpose. In 1798, the newly formed United States found itself on the brink of war with France. The Quasi-War, as it came to be known, was a period of heightened tensions and naval confrontations. Fearing espionage and sabotage, the U.S. government passed a series of laws known as the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Alien Enemies Act was one of 4 laws within this controversial package.
These laws aimed to limit the activities of foreign nationals within the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, in particular, stood out for its grant of executive power. It allowed the president to detain and deport any foreign national deemed a threat to national security.
The Act's passage was met with immediate controversy. Critics argued that it violated fundamental constitutional rights. They saw it as a dangerous expansion of executive power. Despite these concerns, the Act remained on the books, a stark reminder of the fragility of civil liberties during times of national crisis.
The Alien Enemies Act, though enacted in 1798, cast a long shadow over American history. It would be invoked during various periods of conflict and national anxiety. Each invocation raised questions about its scope and its potential for abuse.
The War of 1812 saw the Act's first significant use. With the young nation once again at war with Great Britain, fears of foreign interference ran high. The Act was used to detain and deport British citizens living in the United States. This use, though less controversial than its later applications, set a precedent for the Act's wartime invocation.
World War I witnessed a more widespread and systematic use of the Alien Enemies Act. The United States, after entering the war in 1917, faced a wave of anti-German sentiment. The act was used to justify the detention of thousands of German nationals. These detentions, often based on flimsy evidence, highlighted the act's potential for discriminatory application.
World War II saw the Act's most infamous use. Following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066. This order, though not directly invoking the Alien Enemies Act, relied on similar wartime justifications. It led to the internment of over 120,000 Japanese Americans. This dark chapter in American history served as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked executive power.
The Alien Enemies Act, though rarely used, remained a potent symbol of the government's power to restrict civil liberties during times of war. Its historical applications, marked by controversy and injustice, demonstrated the need for vigilance in safeguarding constitutional rights.
In a move that sent shockwaves through the legal community, President Donald Trump, in his second term, resurrected the Alien Enemies Act. This time, the target was not citizens of a nation at war with the United States, but rather individuals deemed to be affiliated with criminal organizations. This unprecedented use of the act raised immediate concerns about its constitutionality and its potential for abuse.
Trump's decision to invoke the Alien Enemies Act was announced in his 2024 inaugural address. Pledging to crack down on what he called foreign gangs and criminal networks, Trump declared his intention to use all tools at his disposal. This included, he made clear, the long-dormant Alien Enemies Act.
The act's revival was met with immediate pushback from legal experts and civil rights groups. They argued that the act was intended for use during declared wars, not against loosely defined criminal organizations. Furthermore, they pointed out that the act's broad language could be used to target virtually any foreign national living in the United States.
Despite these concerns, the Trump administration moved forward with its plans. The Department of Justice began compiling a list of individuals deemed eligible for deportation under the revived act. This list, it was reported, included individuals suspected of gang affiliation, drug trafficking, and other criminal activities.
The Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act came into sharp focus in March 2024. Citing the act, the administration announced the deportation of 137 Venezuelan nationals. These individuals, The administration alleged were members of the Tren de Aragua, a powerful gang operating in Venezuela and other parts of South America.
The TDA, known for its involvement in drug trafficking, extortion, and human smuggling, had emerged as a major security threat in the region. The Trump administration, in justifying its actions, argued that the TDA posed a direct threat to the United States. They claimed that the gang was seeking to establish a foothold in the U.S. and expand its criminal operations.
The deportation of the Venezuelan nationals marked the first large-scale use of the Alien Enemies Act since World War II. It set off a legal firestorm, with civil rights groups and immigration lawyers filing lawsuits challenging the deportations. They argued that the administration was exceeding its authority and violating the due process rights of the deportees.
The Trump administration, however, remained defiant. They defended their use of the act, arguing that it was necessary to protect national security and combat transnational criminal organizations. The deportations, they insisted, were conducted lawfully and in accordance with the act's provisions.
The targeting of Venezuelan migrants under the Alien Enemies Act highlighted the act's potential for abuse. Critics argued that the administration was using the act to circumvent due process and target a vulnerable population. The deportations, they warned, set a dangerous precedent that could have far-reaching consequences for immigrants' rights.
Section 5. A nation divided: legal challenges to the act's use.
The Trump administration's revival of the Alien Enemies Act ignited a legal battle that played out across the country.
Lawsuits challenging the act's use were filed in multiple states, with federal courts wrestling with the complex legal questions at the heart of the controversy.
One of the first legal challenges came in New York, where a group of immigration lawyers filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of Venezuelan nationals facing deportation under the act.
The lawsuit argued that the act's use against individuals suspected of gang affiliation was a clear violation of due process.
The lawyers pointed out that the act made no mention of criminal organizations and was intended for use during times of declared war.
Similar lawsuits were filed in Colorado and Texas, each challenging the act's constitutionality and its application to individuals not engaged in hostilities against the United States.
The lawsuits argued that the Trump administration was exceeding its authority and violating the separation of powers doctrine.
The legal battle eventually reached the Supreme Court, which agreed to hear a consolidated case challenging the act's use.
The court's decision, issued in April 2024, sent shockwaves through the legal community.
In a narrow 5-4 ruling, the court upheld the Trump administration's authority to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport individuals deemed to be affiliated with criminal organizations.
The court's decision, however, came with a significant caveat.
The justices ruled that while the act could be used in this manner, deportees must be given a chance to challenge their removal before a judge.
This provision, the court emphasized, was essential to safeguarding due process rights.
Legal experts and civil rights groups have raised significant concerns about the 1798 law.
The law's broad language and potential for abuse are troubling. It grants the government sweeping powers with minimal oversight.
Critics argue that such powers could be used to target specific groups unfairly, undermining civil liberties.
It's essential to consider the balance between national security and protecting individual rights. The law, as it stands, tilts heavily towards the former, often at the expense of the latter.
The deportations have sparked a strong response from Venezuela.
Many of us felt betrayed. We came here seeking safety and a better life, only to face deportation.
The emotional toll on families has been profound, with many facing an uncertain future.
It's heartbreaking. We are not just numbers. We are people with hopes, dreams, and families.
The implications of the 1798 law for constitutional democracy are profound.
This law challenges the very foundations of our democracy. It raises questions about the balance of power and the protection of individual freedoms.
The tension between national security and civil liberties remains a contentious issue.
We must ensure that our laws reflect our democratic values and do not erode the rights and freedoms we hold dear.
In the 21st century, the Alien Enemies Act continues to be a topic of debate.
The historical context of the law is crucial. It was born out of a time of fear and uncertainty, but its legacy persists.
Modern interpretations of the law must consider new global dynamics and the evolution of international relations.
It's important to learn from history, ensuring that our policies are just and equitable for all.